Hello, everyone, and a very warm welcome to you to this exclusive video series on Adaptable HR. The future is now, brought to you by People Matters in association with Allied Solutions. I'm Yasmin Taat, Senior Editor with People Matters, and I will be your host for this conversation today. It is my privilege to bring to you some of the key findings from Asia Pacific's largest study on the state of HR transformation conducted by Allied Solutions in partnership with People Matters, and also talking to the leading CHROs from the region on what adaptable means to them in today's context. For all the uncertainty and ambiguity about the future during this time of pandemic, one thing is certain: the future is digital and the future is for the adaptable. And for HR in particular, it is about helping organizations navigate the ever-changing business and operating environment. The third edition of Alight's HR transformation study focuses on this very theme, adaptable HR, as talent and the community at large face an unprecedented situation triggered by the COVID-19 pandemic. Being adaptable is no longer a choice, it is imperative, it is the inevitable. The question is, how do we change? And for this episode, it is indeed a pleasure to welcome Panuwat Benrohman, Chief People Officer at Minor Foods, and Shashwat Kumar, Asia Leader, Advisory, Payroll and Cloud Solutions, Allied Solutions. Let me just quickly give you a brief of the panelists today. Ben brings with him a wealth of knowledge together with nearly 20 years of consulting experience, as well as leadership quality from various management positions. Prior to joining Minor Foods, he held the position of Managing Director of Kincentric Thailand, formerly known as Aeon Hewitt, and Minor Foods has been one of his key clients in the past few years. With experience in a wide array of people disciplines, Ben has a holistic and strategic view of how people can enhance successful business results and at the same time can be tactical and lead people initiatives to create sustainable and positive impact to the organization. In addition, Ben also dedicates his time to facilitating educational sessions in board nomination and compensation program for the Thai Institute of Directors Association. The organization plays a key role in the leadership development of executives, as well as providing consultancy for good corporate governance for companies across all industries in Thailand. A very warm welcome to you, Ben.
Thank you for your invitation.
Thanks, Ben. Such a pleasure to have you here. A lead traveler in this journey of the last few months of HR transformation study, today we have with us the privilege to welcome Shashwat Kumar, Asia Leader, Advisory, Payroll and Cloud Solutions, Allied Solutions. Shashwat has been an advisor to numerous Fortune 500 corporations on their HR service delivery transformation, shared services, offshoring, and change management initiatives. In his previous role, he led the APAC HR transformation practice at Aeon Hewitt for a decade and contributed immensely to developments of toolkits and methodologies with the delivery of cutting-edge solutions for clients in many ways led the creation of the HR transformation as a practice. A very warm welcome to you, Shashwat.
Hi, Yasmin. Look forward to the discussion today.
Same here.
And it's also a special day because Ben is an old colleague and a friend.
Great. So I'm looking forward to a great conversation too. Thank you both for joining us. So for today's conversation, we have requested Shashwat to share the key findings of the State of HR Transformation Study 2020. And this will be followed with a conversation with our esteemed guests. So let's begin and deep dive into Asia Pacific's largest study on HR transformation. Over to you, Shashwat.
Hi, good morning once again, everyone. What I will do, I will give a brief overview of the study and how we arrived at the key construct of the study. And then depending on specific areas of interest from Ben, we can get into the detailed highlights and insights accordingly. Before we get into the study itself, we do share this whole origin and history of Alight. I will not take time on this. Ben is very much aware how Alight is all about HR. Coming out from the parentage of Hewitt and Aeon Hewitt. So I will move on to what happened with the study. Ben, if you recall, we were supposed to launch the study in mid-February with Tech HR. That got delayed. So that gave us a time to, in fact, step back and look at findings from the study and look at the construct of the study and test it out in the market. So as we went out in the market and started looking at, given the COVID situation, what was happening, we realized that HR leaders were focused on enabling businesses to continue operations. So they were doing variety of things to enable that. They were taking care of employee sentiments and well-being. For many organizations, they took a health first approach and ensured that employee safety came first. HR was also collaborating very well within HR, with business, with the larger ecosystem of the industry peers, and with the society at large, which was government stakeholder, other social stakeholders, and so on. Taking into account all these things, HR was constantly recalibrating policies, adjusting actions, and so on. In many ways, all this really was the hallmark of what we had defined as being an adaptable HR. And it kind of revalidated the construct in the study which was done pre-COVID. Uh, Post that, many people have asked that while COVID has amplified the challenges, is there really a need for HR to be adaptable? And when I will not really again take time here because you are familiar with this construct, we have always talked about the fact from Ion Hewitt days that HR going forward need to be much more agile and adaptable because changes are happening across three dimensions of business breakthrough, where innovation is leading and forcing organizations to change constantly. The next piece is around organization and job reconfiguration on back of technology, on back of different ways of working, and so on. And the third piece is really around talent, aspirations, and experience. Aspirations, which really creates the whole anchor of purpose and transparency. And experience is needed because obviously all of us have changed as consumers, and hence we demand different level of services. So if you pull all these three vectors together, on which HR is changing, or there is a demand from HR which is changing, it really lands to a place where HR needs to be adaptable, which means that HR needs to have an ability to sense and adjust to new conditions. So as we said that, then obviously the next question was what this adaptable HR will look like. We went back, looked at all past experience, and looking at the data, what we realized was while business and organization will still want three pillars around which the outcomes or the impact from HR will be needed, which will be around outcomes, which will be around experience, and which will be around people analytics. And we have been talking about this for long across three iterations of the study itself, and even before that. What we realized, the moment you think of adaptable, you will have to actually configure these expectations in a slightly different way. So while outcomes are still important, so businesses will still demand talent outcomes which impact their success. The moment you think of adaptable, you will have to think of commitment to outcomes, and commitment to outcomes is from all the parties concerned. So business and HR together makes this commitment, which also means that both of them can come in and revise that, can adjust the outcomes, and hence its joint commitment is a very important factor to enable adaptability. Similarly, as you think of experience, as we kind of understood it more, we realized that it's not experience which is the expectation. Expectation is adoption of programs. Experience is one of the enablers. Adoption is environmental and way bigger than experience itself. Also, when you think of adoption, it becomes an ongoing journey, and you will have to constantly look at ways and means to improve that adoption. Third, when you looked at the expectation around people analytics, going back to the points we have been talking earlier about, that people analytics is the GPS for HR, which helps you navigate and drive. This navigation is always towards the future, towards a better future. And hence people analytics, which is valid, is the one which helps you navigate to the future. Also, as you think of navigating to the future, it's not only about analytics, it's also about how you use that analytics. So those becomes the three anchor expectations. And to enable those, you will need to think of three discipline changes. The first discipline change was around design. So think of design which is more anchored on outcomes. breaks the functional silos of HR, and enables experience. That gets to the next discipline, which is experience, because we see clients doing a lot of personas and employee journey mapping and all of that. While those are great things to do and must be done, the biggest value on experience is the discipline of experience itself, which is organizations focus to constantly look at data, collect feedback to see how they can improve all the time. And the third discipline, which may be the most important discipline to make change in HR, is the discipline of governance. And this governance being different from compliance, this is the governance between business and HR, and to understand the problems which needs to be solved, and within HR itself to work together to solve that problem. So that's an ongoing governance, and it's the third discipline. So that really completes the whole construct of adaptable HR. We did look at the data to say whether this differentiates. And as we started looking at that data, we realized that as organizations are moving forward in their journey of maturity, there is confidence and scoring around the three pillars are improving. So if you really look at it, the big jump happens for mature organizations. These are organizations who have defined HR operating model and a very defined HR tech strategy. And here, just to qualify, we are not saying one technology strategy is better than the other, but it's really having a defined HR technology strategy and marrying it with your HR operating model not only makes a big jump on all three pillars and the confidence around that, it also sees a huge jump on the efficiency side as you see HR to FT ratios go up. And that's what we have been calling as digital divide for last three cycles of the study. So essentially, our experience has been that it's IT together with HR operating model enables digital success. But the big aha moment this time on the study has been we started looking for what is really triggering a further upswing. And we realize organizations who are very disciplined around HR governance and are using HR governance to change the ways of working in HR, they tend to do multiple things better. They also tend to use their HR technology better because, and these are organizations who have all kinds of different technology. But when you have a discipline to get value out of something, you tend to start using it better over a period of time. And we call this the discipline divide. These are the organizations who have changed ways of working in HR, have started outside in view of HR, which is they work with business to understand problem on an ongoing basis, connect talent strategy to that, literally on a monthly basis, come inside, discuss within HR to look at ways and means to solve it, go back and solve the problem and close the loop of that discussion with business. These are the organizations who are pulling ahead on all aspects of adaptability and I will say even on transformation. And then this is the discipline divide needed in HR. Now moving forward, what happens, why this is important? And this slide really demonstrates as organizations cross the digital divide, and this is really organizations on left, which are all organizations, and organizations on right are the organizations, Ben, who have crossed this digital divide. These organizations not only do all the work of all participants in their study, they are able to also do some higher order impact items, like they are able to focus and drive cultural alignment initiatives. They are able to focus and enable businesses with their innovation and changes. They are actually able to de-risk critical roles, focus on employee experience aspirations beyond employee engagement. Also, these are the organizations, because their operations and technology are in sync and working together, they tend to do better with disruptions. And they also typically are 2.5 times more, 2.5 times more effective in driving things like robotics adoption and newer technologies, which further drives up the efficiencies. Now, obviously, the question which comes is all that is fine, but how does it translate to real impact? And that's where when you look at their readiness to address risks, these are the organizations who are also more ready. And as we go to the extreme example, which I was talking about earlier, the outlier organizations who have started doing things with even more discipline, the confidence and the scoring is further to the right. This really became the hallmark for us in this study, Ben, because essentially, if you look at HR transformation has some value, but very little value on its own. Why HR transformations are important? Because it really forms the bedrock which enables all of business transformation, because any large organization today has many business transformation projects going on. Think of your procurement, supply chain, think of digital initiatives, think of initiatives which are really M&A, inorganic growth. All those initiatives actually translates to organization job change and behavior change, and hence HR will play a super important role in enabling those success of those business transformations. And essentially, uh, in many ways, the construct of adaptable HR enabled us to think through this is what it will take for HR to become that fulcrum or the lighthouse for the business. So I will stop here, Ben. If you want me to get deeper into any specific area, happy to do that, uh, or we can move on to questions to you. Thanks.
Hi, Ben. Can you hear us?
Yes, I can hear you. I think that the information that Shashwat was sharing in terms of HR transformation is very nice, and it clearly reflect to the current situation that we have it.
Yeah.
Anything that you want to highlight, Shashwat, to highlight from these 10 pointers, Ben?
I think that if you look at adaptability is very important. Adaptability is critical for long-term business success. And today, most of the employees already adaptable to change during COVID, right? You all can see that.
Yeah.
From work in office to work from home, from required to have the in-person meeting to have like meeting through the Zoom, Microsoft Teams, Webex, and so on. I think everyone still can create the value to the business and customer in at this situation.
Great. So if it's fine, so Shashwat, should we move on to the question and answers now?
Yes, please.
Great. So yes, thank you so much, Shashwat. It was a wonderful way of very crisply covering the extensive findings of the study. My key takeaway has been on how HR transformation is not only for HR, it is about enabling business transformation. And also how with these new ways of working that we are getting into, adaptability becomes really, really critical. So thank you so much for taking us through all of that. I'm sure there's a lot to learn that and take away from the study, and all our viewers would agree to that.